Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and I'm joined by 49ers team reporter, Lindsay Polares. We've now gone through the first 2 days of training camp. Lindsay, what would you say the energy's like out there at the SAP Performance Facility?
Bree, the SAP Performance Facility is buzzing. There's no other way to describe it. It's been just an amazing atmosphere, and I think the fans have a lot to do with it. It's a completely sold out crowd. I think the way that last season ended also plays into it. Everyone is excited to be here, excited to get to work, and that has definitely translated to what we've seen on the field the first few days.
Yeah, having the faithful out there to support the team makes these practices even more special. But let's take it back to day one. A quick roster update for you guys. The 49ers signed cornerback Terrance Mitchell just ahead of camp. He's an 8-year NFL veteran who most recently played with the Tennessee Titans last season. He'll be in the rotation at practices. But leading the team on the first day were quarterbacks Trey and Sam Darnold. Tell me about what you saw from them as they split reps with the first team.
I think all eyes were on what exactly is the rep breakdown even going to be. It looks like from what we saw day one, and that did change yesterday, but we saw Trey Lance and Sam Darnold switching off first team reps for every team period, and then the third team reps belonged to Brandon Allen. I think it was a solid first day, and a lot of what the first day was about, even for head coach Kyle Shanahan, was just shaking off the rust and getting back into the swing of things. And as eager as the players are, head coach Kyle Shanahan did say he wanted to rein them back just a little bit because the big focus right now is getting the reps in, but also staying healthy and keeping guys off the ground. So it's a very healthy balance that the team is trying to strike at this time.
Nice. So the wide receivers really shined on day one. We've been keeping up with their offseason training, and it was all put on display at the first practice. Fourth-year receiver Brandon Aiyuk especially, he was looking really fast out there and making some crazy catches as he does. But what did head coach Kyle Shanahan and the rest of his teammates say about the development of his game?
Yeah, so it has been absolutely just this amping up of Brandon Aiyuk. And we heard it all through the offseason, especially during OTAs and minicamp, that he just continues to get better and continue to improve. And I do remember tight end George Kittle really talking about how the 49ers offensive system is just so complex, and it's especially hard for wide receivers. Timing has a lot to do with how the offense is run here in San Francisco, and it takes a while for receivers to really grow and know that, and Brandon Aiyuk has gotten there. He did that in his third season. So what we're seeing in the fourth season is what George Kittle described as he's getting to put his own sauce on it.
And young wide receivers in our offense, it takes them a while to figure that out because they're like, oh, I'm just going out there to play catch. And it's like, no, that's not our offense. Our offense is precise. Like, that's what you have to do. And it takes guys a while to realize, like, the work ethic and the practice and the attention to detail that goes into that. And Aiyuk figured that out, like, going into year 3. And then when he figured that, and like he's a great football player before that, but he figured out like all the details that go into this offense. And then what he's done great at is he's figured all that out. He's learned all that. And now he gets to add his own sauce on top of all that stuff. And so now you see those cool plays, the cool catches where he's ripping it away from people. And he's just taking another step. And it's because he has this foundation, this understanding of this awesome offense that gives him the opportunity to go out there and just route people up and look like a superstar, which is what he is.
And we definitely saw that. I actually started this new training camp series called Camp Chronicles on 49ers.com. And I wrote down Brandon Aiyuk is having the biggest offensive play of the day. And it was this beautiful leaping catch he made over the head of quarterback Diamador Lenore near the left sideline. And it's great because the competition is really, really amping up. And Diamador Lenore, also a guy that is really making that jump from year 2 to year 3. So you know that there's a really, really nice, healthy back and forth there.
And you can't talk about the 49ers wide receivers without talking about Deebo Samuel. He's also looking faster and more explosive for it just being the first few practices back. He credited a lot of his performance out there in training camp to his off-season workouts. What were those like, and what did he do differently this year to prep for the season?
Deebo Samuel has hit the ground running as far as training camp prep. The biggest difference with him from last season to this season is that he took that 40-day window before the or after the end of veteran mini camp and before training camp to really just dial in on his fitness. He talked about taking a very short single vacation during that time and then really buckling down and getting to work. That involved doing some off-season training out in Arizona. He did some boxing, a lot of track workouts, and he's come back leaner and, as he described, in the best shape that he has been in since prior to the draft in 2019. Again, we are seeing that translate onto the field. He looks like he's moving faster. He's definitely feeling confident, and surely there is more to come. We're still so early in training camp. As the pads come on, I think that's where we're going to really see the improvement with a lot of these players.
Absolutely. And a huge milestone came on day 2 of training camp as second-year quarterback Brock Purdy made his return to practice after undergoing off-season elbow surgery to repair a torn UCL. And just as expected, Purdy took all the first team reps on Thursday. How did he say he felt after his first day back?
He was happy to report that, as was previously stated by General Manager John Lynch and head coach Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't have any limitations. That being said, he does remain on that pitch count. He's going to be practicing for back-to-back days and then taking every third day off until further notice. But honestly, the biggest thing for him was getting back into 11 on 11 and 7 on 7 team drills and feeling really confident in doing that. He also reiterated during press conferences that there isn't a throw he feels he can't make. All of the arm angles are available to him. And I think the biggest takeaway from his first live action on Thursday was seeing him just throw some go balls about 50 yards down the sideline and having him actually just let it rip. And it was really, really encouraging. The arm strength is there. Obviously, there's a little bit of an acclimation period. This is his first time getting to fully throw to teammates in team drills, but he is knocking the rust off, and it's all signs are pointing in the right direction.
Go through surgery, rehab, the offseason, everything, and missing OTAs. And so just to be able to get out and say a play to my teammates and break a huddle, to me, I was so excited just thinking about that. And so it was almost like last night was like Christmas. You're excited for the next day. And so that's how it was for me this morning and everything. And I was excited to get out there.
It's great to see him back out on the field. And as the team gets ready for now the third day of camp, they'll be closing in on their first 3-day stretch before getting their player off day. But what's the tempo like out there? Can you see it slowly ramping up? I believe starting Monday, pads are going to come on, which will definitely take it up a notch. But what have you heard from the players and coaches about their mindset in the first practices back?
Yeah, I think everybody's chomping at the bit to get the pads on because that's what real football is, and that's what we've heard from the players a lot. And like I mentioned earlier, head coach Kyle Shanahan loves the energy, loves how amped up it is. But right now, until those pads come on, he wants to make sure everybody really does take these first few days to ease themselves into it. And I think it is happening and at a nice steady incline. And once the pads come on, I think, all will be unleashed. But until then, it's a good, healthy competition happening between offense and defense. We love that energy, and I think it's just going to continue up throughout the rest of summer.
All right, well, that will do it for today. Be sure to look out for all of the 49ers training camp content on 49ers.com. Thank you so much, Lindsay, for joining me in this training camp update. Don't forget to follow First and 10 on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to turn on the notifications so you're in the know when we post any breaking news updates. And thank you, Faithful, for tuning in.